Get on with tonight's subject of paid ads. So what we're going to cover, we're going to cover what they are, the types of paid ads, and the costs associated with them, and then when to use paid ad, which is the bit that I really want to focus on, I think, this evening, more than anything else. This is a massive subject area, and I could probably go on for hours rather than 15 minutes on this subject. And it's probably, or elements of it will be covered in future training sessions, and probably has already been covered in previous training, but it's well worth going over it all within the subject of paid ads. So let me get my notes out. What are paid ads? So I looked up a definition for paid ads, and the sort of a couple of different paid ads or definitions of paid ads, and I've sort of mungled them together to come up with a definition that I think is useful, which is the practice of paying for advertising space on a platform or medium to promote a product or service. So I'll say that again. The practice of paying for advertising space on a platform or medium to promote a product or service. The goal is to reach a specific audience and to drive traffic, conversions, and revenue. So that's what paid ads are in essence, from a number of different online platforms I looked at, and that's what I come up with as a definition. So what are the different types of paid ads? Well, and we'll look at the costs associated with them as we go through this, but probably the one you're most familiar with is pay per click advertising, where basically you try to get your advert seen when someone searches for something on one of the search engines such as Google, etc. And what we're normally doing there is we're trying to get certain keywords. When someone types in certain phrases into a search engine, we want our advert, which is relevant to that keyword, to show up on that platform. And that is what we normally call pay per click advertising. And the clues in the name, how the costs associated with that is basically every time someone clicks your ad, you pay only for the clicks, which makes it, from the advertising perspective, relatively cost efficient, because you're not paying for anyone who doesn't click the ad, even though they may have seen the ad. So therein, if you like, is an advantage of pay per click advertising. The disadvantage is that this has become an incredibly popular method of paid advertising, and therefore competition for keyword space is incredibly high. And there are software programs and you can use different online tools that will give you an idea of how much you would have to pay per click to have certain keywords for your business, and you become into what we call almost like a bidding war to have your advert on that search engine platform. Now we're in a fairly, if you like, niche bracket in terms of where we're independent garages, and therefore the sort of keywords we're looking for are not as general as certain businesses would be competing in. So the cost per click for the automotive business isn't as high as it is for some of the other categories or businesses that you could be in, although they're probably not as cheap as they once were. And this has become an incredibly the area has become cluttered, if you like, and there's incredibly more competition now than there was even, say, 5 years ago for pay per click advertising, which means that using a longer tail keyword is more advantageous, and we'll look into that as we go forward. So that's sort of pay per click advertising, which is where we're trying to get our advert seen when someone's entering a term on a search engine. Now, you can also do pay per click advertising on social media platforms, It's less common, but you can do it. And once again, you're searching for certain things. When someone searches for a certain thing, or they show an interest in certain activities or areas of interest, your advert will show up. It's very much the same on social media as it is on search engine platforms. And then the next type of paid advert that's commonly used is they're called display ads. And display ads can be retargeting, it can be banners, it can be sidebars, it can be pop-ups. And how you pay for those is normally something called CPM, which is cost per thousand. The M, you'd be excused for thinking that should be a T, but it's not, it's an M, milli, thousand, is how you pay for it. So every time it's seen, if you like, every time it's seen, you get charged for every 1,000 times it's visible, and quite popular. Once again, you've got to compete to get your ad shown, and often the competing process starts with the price you're willing to pay to get your ad visible to the public. So the common theme so far has started to be that you have to be willing to pay quite a significant amount, and that amount is going up, to get your ads to be seen, because the good old days of relatively cheap online advertising have gone away. So the other areas, and I'm not going to go through them all because it's, you know, I've got 15 minutes. It'll take all night just to go through all the other versions of paid advertising you could do on the various social media platforms. But basically, every social media platform you can think of has a method of you paying to get your product or service in front of a wider audience by paying for that service. So we're going to go away from that because there are other forms of paid advertising that are not so much online that I'd like you to think about. So there are sponsorships. So you could sponsor an event. And that's enough, you know, if you think about the definition that I gave you earlier on of paid advertising, you're paying for advertising space on a platform or a medium. The platform there could be whatever that is. So there are a number of independent garage events around the country, and you could be paying to have your product or service advertised on that medium. But you also think about your community marketing in terms of sponsorship, or about sponsoring the shirt on your local football, stroke rugby, netball, hockey, whatever it is team, or any local events where your potential customers are and will see you. That's a form, if you think about the actual definition I gave you earlier on, of paid advertising. So that's covers the types of paid ads and what paid advertising is. The costs I'd like you to think about all comes down to one thing really, and that is when you do an advert, all the different ad platforms, all the online ad platforms, use some form of ad ranking algorithm. And this is basically how it works out, how likely your advert is going to be shown to your target audience. Yeah. And the ad ranking normally consists of 3 elements, and that's the bid amount, how much you're willing to pay, the quality of your ad, how good your advertising or your ad is itself, because remember, they don't want people to leave their platform. And the sure as eggs is eggs, if you're being sent very poor quality ads all of the time, you're probably going to not click the ad, but more likely to leave the platform. And then the third thing is what they call an action rate. How likely are you to get the outcome that you want? How likely are they to take action from that ad for you to get the desired outcome, and for them to get the desired outcome, which is they're going to stay on that platform? So what it does, the algorithm looks at those 3 things and then gives your ad a rating and decides whether or not it's going to show it. By far, I would argue the most weight is placed on your bid amount. And as I've said, this is going up all of the time as this gets more and more popular. So to give you an idea of how much money is spent on online advertising, the figure I've got in front of me is $455 billion was spent on online paid ads in 2021. It's a big business. Did anyone get a return on investment on that amount? Because if they did, if it was as simple as it could be, or as people make it out to be, yeah, for every pound you spend on advertising, you get £2 back. Everyone would be doing it, and everyone would be successful. Yeah, what you've got to be aware of when it comes to the cost associated with paid ads is the lifetime value of the customer, and if you've got a big enough budget to make your ads work. And that sounds a little bit contradictory, but it's not. If your lifetime value of your customers, if you're going to get revenue from your customers, let's say it's over 5 years, and you start advertising now, you may not get a return on investment on the ad for winning that customer until year 2 or 3 of that 5-year life cycle of a customer. And you've got to be able to ride that bump out, because you may not, let's use round numbers, if it costs £1 to win a customer and the customer only spends £2 in the first year, you're £8 out of pocket, and you've got to be able to, if you like, sustain that loss, because it might not be till year 3 where they've spent in total £12 with you, and now you're £2 up. And then in year 4, they'll maybe will have spent £20. You've doubled your money if you're still in business by then. It is a longer game than you're led to believe, paid advertising, because you don't know what your ads are going to do or how they're going to work when you first do it. Which takes me to the final point, which is when to use paid ads. Well, my advice is only use paid ads once you know your complete sales funnel is working. Yeah, and when I'm talking about the sales funnel here, I've done a training on sales funnels, but what we're talking about here is a little bit less generic than that sales funnel. This is specifically your online sales funnel. So make sure that your free advertising, your organic search reach, and your organic posts and your content is creating customers, and that the landing pages you drive customers to with your free content is proven to convert, and you've done testing on that, and that your organic, if you like, your free to air advertising is converting customers. Only do paid advertising when you know who your target customer is. You have a very specific avatar, and your advert only appeals to that person, not a generic ad, because that just doesn't work for small independent businesses. Make sure you have a great product or service before you advertise. Make sure you have capacity in the business to do the work you're advertising for. If you're already booked up for 3 weeks, don't do paid ads. There's no point, is there? Yeah. Make sure you have an effective method of referrals. Therefore, if you win a customer, you might even win 2 or 3 if that customer is willing to give you referrals. And you'll only get referrals if you have a great product or service. Make sure that you've got a method of collecting reviews, because that's another form of free advertising that you could be adding to and compounding the effect of your paid advertising. And make sure you've got some sort of ad campaign plan and a marketing brief to go with it, so that you know exactly what you want from your campaign. If you've got all of that in place and you're totally comfortable with all of that, and then I suggest you could switch to paid ads, because it will probably start to get a return on that investment. There is nothing worse than paying for an advert that sends someone to not even a landing page, but just the home page of their business. Something very, very specific for a specific product or service, and then you end up on the home page. It's pointless. It's just a waste of money. Trust me on this, I've done it. So once you've got all that done and you're considering when to use paid ads, when is a good time to use them? Well, I would say if you're launching a new product or service, something you want to get out into the marketplace, and you're already quite well known and you know who your target customer is, this new product or service, you've refined it down, it's a great product, and you want to get it out there, paid ads is probably a great idea, as long as you have a fantastic landing page that you know converts customers. The other time that paid ads really can be beneficial to a business is if you want to test some of your the things that I've just discussed as being, you need to get them working as best as possible. A way of speeding up that process is using paid ads, because you'll get more throughput through the system, and you'll be able to make A and B comparisons very, very quickly or quicker by using paid ads, because you'll be able to use, is this advert more effective than that one? Is that landing page more effective than that one? That's what I mean by A/B testing. And you can do those comparisons much quicker using paid ads than you can just with organic reach, because you'll drive more and more traffic through it in a shorter period of time. That's a great time to use paid advertising. When you should never use paid advertising is when you can't afford it. Anyone's got any questions, put them in the notes or the comments, or direct message me. Thanks for your attention. Thanks for listening. If this training or any other training on any of the videos I've done has made you think about how you run your business, then I've done my job. If you need more help and support to implement any changes in your business or improve your business, simply message me and I can see if you're going to be a great fit for the Atomic Success Program. I have considered whether or not to open it up. I promised before I went away for a couple of weeks I would think about it. I have considered it, and it's probably a good month away before I will be asking anyone if they want to join. So I've nothing to sell at the moment, but if you want to go on the waiting list or want to jump on a Zoom call, direct message me. We can have a chat to see if you're a fit. It's going to be 3 people or 3 businesses only that will be accepted at some point in the near future, because that's all the time I've got at the moment to dedicate to it, and I just don't want to do it half-heartedly. I want to get right behind those businesses and offer as much help as I can. So if you're interested, send me a message and I can help you or maybe not help you. But remember to put first things first, and if you think you should, then you must. Evening.